The quiet signal, why loss of peace is God's protection. Something in your world feels subtle but undeniably heavy . It's not a loud argument or an obvious betrayal, yet every single time a particular person is around, the deep, seated calm you rely on simply vanishes. You walk away feeling drained, not from the conversation, but from the presence itself. This persistent, low-level unease is what we need to talk about today. What if this pervasive feeling of off-ness is not a problem with your own emotional resilience, but rather a direct, purposeful message? What if this profound discomfort is actually your spiritual alarm system, activated by God to warn and protect you from something that has subtly become misaligned? It's time to stop second-guessing your intuition and start recognizing that your inner turmoil is a form of divine communication intended to redirect you. If you have stumbled upon this video right now, understand that its appearance is far from accidental. There is already a quiet, knowing part of your spirit, the one that processes truth before your mind catches up, that recognizes a shift in a significant connection in your life. The change isn't dramatic or something you can easily explain to a friend. It just feels dense and taxing. You've likely been struggling with a silent, recurring question that you hesitate to voice even to yourself. If every encounter with this person leaves me feeling less whole, less aligned, and less peaceful, why am I still allowing them unrestricted access to my life and energy? This internal conflict must be resolved, not through endurance, but through courage and obedience to the quiet voice guiding your path forward. I need to deliver this truth to you with both gentleness and absolute clarity. Not every person who enters your orbit is meant to stay in your atmosphere indefinitely. It is essential to understand the difference between assignment, and season, Some individuals are divinely assigned to your life for a profound reason, perhaps to mentor you, support your calling, or share a destiny. Others, however, are assigned for a specific, necessary season, a temporary role that serves a purpose for a finite time. When that specific season reaches its intended conclusion, attempting to cling to the connection doesn't demonstrate your capacity for love or loyalty. Instead, it becomes a powerful obstruction, causing a deliberate and frustrating delay in your personal obedience to God's greater plan. God operates with profound intentionality. He never introduces random individuals into your journey without a reason, a lesson, or a purpose. However, the converse is equally true and often harder to accept. He will never ask you to willingly carry a connection or any burden that actively and consistently works against the new phase He is actively preparing you to enter. This specific point is where many deeply committed individuals, the chosen ones, find themselves spiritually stalled. They fall into the trap of tragically confusing a deep sense of loyalty, anchored in shared memories, with the clear, unfolding purpose of their future. They mistake the familiar narrative of history with the divine blueprint of their destiny. Unwittingly, they keep spiritual doors wide open, doors that the divine hand has been patiently, quietly attempting to seal shut for their protection. True, radical faith is often misunderstood. It is not solely about the comfortable, joyous process of receiving abundant, visible blessings and miraculous provisions. Sometimes the deepest, most authentic expression of faith is demonstrated by having the quiet, internal courage to willingly release a person, a dynamic, or an environment that feels intimately familiar and safe. This releasing is a prerequisite. It is an act of spiritual surrender that provides God with the necessary space to unlock and manifest a blessing, a vision, or a life-defining experience that you have never even conceived of before. There are critical junctures in your spiritual journey when God chooses not to intervene with a dramatic, booming removal. Instead, He communicates His instruction through a slow, persistent loss of peace, a noticeable tension, or an unexplained spiritual drain that cannot be dismissed. If the feelings described, the persistent drain, the unexplained tension, the loss of inner calm, have been a constant fixture in your recent life, then you must understand that this entire message is specifically, personally for you. My intention is that by the time you reach the end of this reflection, the debilitating guesswork and self-doubt will cease completely. You will know with profound and quiet confidence whether the Lord is asking you to simply step back and let someone go not as an act of punishment or retribution against them, but as a crucial, non-negotiable step to strategically protect and provide for the monumental spiritual relief that is imminent in your life. Before we plunge deeper into the specific signs you need to recognize, please take a moment to like this video right now. Furthermore, if you are not yet subscribed, please hit that button, and then, for a specific spiritual acknowledgement, comment the number *99 below this video. This is not about building a habit or performing an empty ritual. This number is your spiritual signal, a public and internal declaration. Throughout Scripture, the sequence is clear. True, effective obedience always comes before and facilitates breakthrough. That comment is your way of proclaiming, God, I am intentionally and fully ready to receive and comprehend the clear instruction you are communicating to my spirit. Now, dedicate your full attention to this process and stay with me, because the first sign of misalignment is incredibly subtle, yet once you identify and truly understand it, you will possess a new layer of discernment that you can never again ignore. Here is the first, most dangerous sign, precisely because it is so discreet and lacks any discernible noise or dramatic event. It creeps in quietly and settles. Peace is not a mere feeling, it is a fundamental signal. It serves as a spiritual compass, meticulously built into the deepest recesses of your soul by your Creator, specifically designed to be your infallible guide when human logic fails and when the complexity of explanations or circumstances falls painfully short. A significant number of people consistently dismiss this inner sense because they mistakenly conflate spiritual peace with superficial comfort, and conversely, they tragically confuse spiritual discomfort with personal weakness. However, the chosen individuals, those on a direct path, learn this critical lesson through the hard, won experience of life. The difference is profound and requires attention. When your path is fully aligned with God's will, a deep, underlying clarity persists, even when you face staggering difficulty or intense challenge. In stark contrast, when a connection or path is fundamentally misaligned, a pervasive, draining confusion sets in, even if, on the immediate surface, absolutely nothing appears to be visibly wrong. You must attune yourself to this vital difference. There is a specific type of exhaustion that simply cannot be remedied by hours of physical sleep. There is a persistent form of low-grade anxiety that only surfaces around certain specific people. You notice a subtle, unexplained tightening sensation in your chest, an inescapable restlessness that defies any rational, clear cause or explanation. When in their presence, you instinctively manage to laugh, talk, and maintain a polite and social exterior. Yet the instant you physically remove yourself from that environment, your entire body exhales deeply, a powerful involuntary reaction that feels precisely as though you have successfully escaped some unseen, invisible spiritual pressure. This internal response is not a mere coincidence or an overreaction. It is direct, powerful spiritual communication. God frequently chooses to speak through the medium of peace because peace possesses a unique ability. It bypasses the cluttered, rationalizing human mind and goes immediately, directly, to your receptive spirit. When that vital inner calm slowly but surely erodes in the proximity of a specific person, it is not a sign of your emotional fragility. It is, instead, your acute spiritual awareness actively engaging and communicating a truth that needs to be heard. This is precisely the juncture where many make an incredibly costly, almost fatal, error. They operate under the assumption that this profound and unsettling discomfort is an indication that they must redouble their efforts, become more patient, strive to be more understanding, or demonstrate a greater capacity for forgiveness. But you must hear this unequivocal truth. God does not and will never ask His chosen ones to dwell in a constant, crippling state of inner, spiritual disturbance simply to prove their emotional or spiritual maturity. Peace is not a distant reward that you finally earn only after enduring extensive, prolonged suffering. It is a fundamental, non-negotiable boundary ***. And when that vital peace begins to disappear, it is often a spiritual red flag indicating that a crucial boundary is being violated, not just externally or emotionally, but at the deepest, most sensitive level of your spirit. Now, it is absolutely essential to hold this perspective. This does not inherently mean that the individual in question is a bad person or possesses malice. Not every misaligned spiritual connection is an evil one. Some individuals were precisely the right connection for the version of you that *** was ***. The person you were surviving as, the person you were developing into. But they are profoundly incompatible with the chosen, emerging person you are actively becoming. Seasons of life change and progress long before the faces and connections attached to those seasons do. And when any season is definitively over, your soul registers that truth long before your mind can process the necessary practical logistics. God's guidance is never delivered through a confusing, persistent sense of drainage that taxes you day after day. He may stretch your capacities, yes, and He will undoubtedly challenge your comfortable limitations, but He will absolutely not keep you internally fractured, constantly broken, and spiritually incomplete as a sustainable lifestyle. A state of constant, unrelenting inner turmoil and spiritual confusion is not evidence of spiritual growth, maturation, or patience. It is an activated, blazing, warning light. And the longer you willfully choose to ignore that warning, the louder and more disruptive it will become in your life. That profound uneasiness you've been fervently praying away might not be a spiritual force that requires rebuking and warfare. It might be a necessary divine instruction that requires quiet, internal respect ***. Ask yourself this question with raw, uncompromising honesty, without feeling the need to defend anyone's actions or explain away the circumstances. When you are physically and mentally separated from this person, does your spirit feel perceptibly *** lighter ***, or demonstrably heavier? When you allow yourself to mentally imagine a true, permanent distance, do you feel an overwhelming sense of fear, or do you detect a deep, seated relief that you are secretly afraid to admit to yourself? The unsettling truth is that peace does not depart from your spirit by simple accident or coincidence, and when that deep inner calm makes a quiet yet persistent exit, it is often because the path forward is demanding a truth that is about to be revealed. Now, we move to the second sign, which cuts far deeper than the first, because this one does not primarily assault your emotions. Instead, it systematically and slowly targets the very clarity of your ** direction, ** and purpose. Destiny interference rarely announces itself with a loud, aggressive fanfare. It doesn't arrive as a visible, hostile act of sabotage. It arrives instead as a comfortable, insidious distraction that slowly, imperceptibly reroutes your focus. Within every chosen individual, God has intricately woven a specific, powerful calling, not merely as a prestigious title to be claimed, but as a compelling internal pull, an infallible sense of direction, a quiet, unshakable knowing of the person you are actively becoming long before External world can witness or validate it. And here lies a difficult, profound truth that most people actively resist hearing. Not every connection, no matter how cherished or long-standing, is spiritually permitted to walk beside you throughout the entire unfolding process of that calling. Some were assigned to offer foundational support at the very beginning, but are simply not equipped for the speed, pressure, or environment of the next crucial phase. Their continued presence would only ensure a slow, guaranteed deceleration. This is precisely why the most spiritually dangerous connections are not the overtly toxic, loud, or dramatic ones. They are the comfortable familiar ones that slowly and methodically reroute the core of your focus without ever needing to ask your conscious permission. Initially, you won't even register the subtle, draining shift. Your time dedicated to prayer becomes shorter, then frustratingly irregular. Your spiritual discipline, once fiercely protected, begins to soften and atrophy. Deep convictions that you once guarded with every fiber of your being start to feel unexpectedly negotiable. This erosion doesn't happen because you have fundamentally stopped believing in your path. It occurs because you are in a constant, spiritually exhausting state of adjusting, compromising, and twisting yourself to preserve a surface-level harmony with someone whose path is fundamentally misaligned with the specific trajectory God is urgently sending you toward. You begin expending more energy explaining yourself, defending your unique pace, downplaying your expansive vision, and subtly shrinking your inner fire simply so it doesn't cause discomfort or tension in someone else. Gradually, almost too slowly to perceive, your spiritual clarity begins to fade into a fog. This is the hidden mechanism of purpose erosion ***. It happens not through outright rebellion against God's plan, but through comfortable, persistent accommodation of someone else's comfortable stasis. Healthy, divinely aligned relationships operate in the exact opposite manner. They do not drain direction, purpose, or clarity from your life. They consistently sharpen it. They never compete with your singular, non-negotiable calling. They respect it, honor it, and elevate it. They are not forces that pull you away from your bedrock values, spiritual disciplines, or prayer life. They become powerful, consistent reinforcements of them. Even when they offer necessary challenge or constructive critique, they always push you actively upward and onward, never inward toward doubt and paralysis. A draining connection, conversely, leaves you spiritually dull, mentally foggy, and emotionally depleted. You find yourself feeling perpetually busy and overcommitted, yet tragically unproductive, socially active and surrounded, yet profoundly, internally disconnected from your source. And here is the most difficult part of the truth that many chosen ones resist with fierce desperation. God will never, under any circumstance, demand that you abandon your ordained purpose to preserve a specific relationship. Never. If a connection in your life consistently requires you to compromise your unique spiritual rhythm, repeatedly silence your deepest convictions, or perpetually postpone your necessary spiritual growth, that connection is not merely neutral or convenient. It is actively, spiritually misaligned. Light was never designed to be constantly dimmed and minimized simply to keep a manufactured peace. It was created with the divine purpose to powerfully illuminate the path. And when your personal light visibly begins to dim in the presence of someone, that is not a sign of humility or maturity. It is a profound, non-negotiable warning. You are not chosen by God to blend into the shadows, to perpetually remain small, or to intentionally delay your obedience simply so that someone else can remain perpetually comfortable in their current state. The demands of destiny are clear, specific, and unyielding, and destiny requires clarity. In turn, clarity demands necessary separation at very specific stages of the journey. Ask yourself this question now, without fear, self-justification, or guilt. Since the persistent presence of this person entered the foreground of your life, Are you consciously moving closer to the definitive person you were called and anointed to be? Or are you constantly expending mental and emotional energy negotiating and redrawing your core directions simply to keep them close? Because the comfort or inconvenience that you choose to tolerate and permit right now could very well determine in the total length of time that your divine calling will remain frustratingly postponed. The next sign will clearly reveal what happens when God definitively decides that the waiting period is over and chooses to intervene with direct action. The third sign is unsettling because it ruthlessly exposes a painful reality that most people simply do not want to admit about their most comfortable connections. Around certain individuals, your spiritual and personal growth doesn't halt with a loud, attention-grabbing noise. It slowly, quietly decelerates . You are not under open attack, but you are subtly contained . This is the silent, efficient mechanism by which destiny is delayed without ever provoking a conscious, direct resistance. Some connections in your life do not overtly oppose the person you are becoming. They simply lack the capacity, the spiritual and mental bandwidth to expand alongside you. And rather than gracefully releasing their hold, they unconsciously exert a steady, powerful pressure on you to remain precisely at a version of yourself that feels intimately familiar and predictable to them. Emotionally, you can sense this containment when you find yourself instinctively pausing and hesitating before you fully share a new vision or a compelling idea. Mentally, you feel the contraction when your brilliant, expansive ideas shrink and simplify mid-sentence as you gauge their reaction. Spiritually, you notice the disconnect when your deep, profound hunger for God and for more feels excessive or suspiciously intense within that specific environment. This compression of self is not a sign of arrogance on your part. It is the truth of misalignment systematically revealing itself. Chosen individuals inevitably outgrow the constraints of their environments long before they manage to completely outgrow the individuals within those environments. True internal growth begins and accelerates internally long before the external circumstances are able to catch up. And when your inner spiritual world begins a powerful expansion while your external world, your connections, your rhythm, remains rigidly static, spiritual tension is not just inevitable, it is necessary. At this critical, vulnerable stage, comfort becomes highly seductive and persuasive. It constantly whispers that stability and remaining is the ultimate safety, that staying put is the ultimate maturity, and that radical expansion can simply wait for a more convenient time. However, comfort has never been and never will be the core language of divine calling. Calling inherently stretches, it powerfully disrupts, and it relentlessly demands expansive room to operate. When you consciously remain tethered to people or emotional spaces that require you to stay emotionally predictable, mentally contained, or spiritually muted, you are not exercising patience or loyalty. You are actively, consciously postponing your own required expansion. God simply does not enlarge the lives of those who stubbornly refuse to make the necessary, painful space for the new dimensions He has prepared. Some relationships exist purely to keep you small and manageable, not through overt, tyrannical control, but through the insidious power of overfamiliarity. They only truly recognize and embrace the version of you that survived your previous trials, not the radically new, unconstrained version that is actively, beautifully emerging. And every time you bravely step outside the parameters of that old, familiar version, something pulls you back. This retraction is not aggressive or hostile, but subtle, a cutting joke, a planted doubt, a persistent reminder of who you used to be, and how you used to act. This is the precise way that spiritual limitation masterfully disguises itself as genuine loyalty. But here is the profound truth that every chosen one must courageously confront. Authentic, transformative growth will always carry the cost of restricted access to people who are only capable of recognizing the person from your past. And the longer you choose to remain in spaces, physical, mental, or emotional, that fundamentally lack the necessary capacity to hold your current, explosive expansion, the more you will experience a sense of profound internal compression and spiritual suffocation. This internal compression manifests as a frustration that seemingly has no specific, identifiable cause, a powerful restlessness without clarity, and an overwhelming, deep-seated sense that your life is desperately ready to make a significant move, yet something invisible is holding it rigidly in place. That something is, more often than not, a comfortable connection that has tragically become a restrictive, immovable ceiling. God's instructions for expansion are never gentle, optional suggestions. They are definitively timed releases of grace and mandate. And if you choose to delay the necessary separation, the expansion is simply forced to wait. This delay occurs not because God has mysteriously withdrawn his promise, but because complete, uncompromising alignment is a foundational requirement before any spiritual increase can be fully released. Ask yourself this question with a powerful sense of urgency, not paralyzed by fear. When you are in the company of this specific person, do you feel profoundly invited and encouraged to become exponentially more, or do you feel subtly, persistently encouraged to remain comfortably manageable and predictable? Because what feels like a safe, familiar comfort today could very well be the precise, singular thing that is powerfully slowing the incredible future that God is urgently trying to unfold in your life. The fourth sign removes the final vestiges of doubt, because at this stage, the process is no longer merely internal or emotional. Life itself actively begins to move people and pieces without ever seeking your conscious permission. This is the point where many chosen individuals experience genuine panic and confusion. When God definitively intervenes with direct action, he does not always feel the need to fully explain his reasons first. Suddenly, communication begins to feel inexplicably strained and difficult. Conversations that once flowed freely become disjointed and tense. Messages that were once swiftly returned now consistently go unanswered. Essential plans fall apart for no clear reason. Timing becomes relentlessly uncooperative, and a noticeable distance appears, not dramatically or with an argument, but persistently and systematically. You attempt to bridge the gap and reconnect, yet something, inevitably and frustratingly, interrupts the sincere effort every single time. And here is the essential aspect that most people fundamentally misunderstand about this process. This persistent, annoying distance is not a sign of rejection. It is, in fact, protection in motion, When God, in his infinite wisdom, knows that you will struggle to release a person, a connection, or a dynamic purely based on emotional attachment and sentimentality, he often steps in and actively begins closing the doors for you, quietly and without fanfare. This is done not to inflict pain or punish, but to specifically prevent you from remaining in a stagnant place where your vital obedience is being chronically delayed by a comfortable attachment. Divine distance rarely manifests as a spectacular, painful conflict. It arrives instead as persistent inconvenience, frustrating misunderstandings that seem utterly unnecessary, a palpable space that feels unplanned, and frustrating opportunities to genuinely connect that repeatedly slip right through your fingers. The harder you emotionally or spiritually push against this resistance, the more formidable the resistance you encounter. This is not punishment, a test of will, or divine anger. This is the required, necessary alignment powerfully asserting itself. God possesses a vision and a foresight that you cannot yet access, He knows the exact monumental cost that a particular connection would demand from you in the upcoming season of your life. So, instead of demanding a painful, traumatic confrontation that you would resist, He simply permits life and circumstances to generate the separation naturally and organically. This is precisely why any attempt at forced or manufactured reconnections feels deeply, spiritually exhausting. You are actively swimming against a powerful spiritual current that you were never intended to fight against. Chosen ones often misinterpret this phase as a crushing loss because the separation often feels imposed, rather than being their own conscious decision. However, genuine loss subtracts and diminishes. Spiritual alignment, when driven by God, always redirects and adds. There is a necessary and profound difference. When God decisively closes a door in your life, He does not slam it shut in a shaming or punitive manner. He seals it to securely protect what is definitively waiting ahead of you on your path. Sometimes the most profound, most loving act that God performs for your life is the swift, preventative removal of access before irreparable damage or a catastrophic delay can occur. And yes, this process can feel incredibly painful and deeply uncomfortable. This pain is not an indication that the separation is wrong. It is merely because deep-seated attachment and emotional familiarity do not dissolve at the same rapid pace as spiritual obedience demands. Yet every single step of divine separation carries a deep, specific intention. Every closed door is the creation of necessary space for undeniable clarity, space for exponential growth, and space for the right people who will enthusiastically recognize and affirm the chosen person you are powerfully becoming, not the person you used to be. If you find yourself constantly wondering and ruminating on why it has suddenly become inexplicably hard, almost impossible, to maintain the connection you once had, you must ask a far deeper, more insightful question. Asterisk asterisk, what essential blessing or future damage might God be actively preventing by making this connection harder and harder to sustain? Asterisk asterisk, because when the phase of divine distance begins to assert itself, it is the clearest, most undeniable sign that a new, magnificent alignment is being meticulously prepared for your life. The final sign will powerfully reveal what happens when your deep spirit begins to consciously agree with the required separation long before your rational, analyzing mind has managed to fully grasp the necessary logistics. The fifth and final sign is the one that you cannot possibly argue with or logically dismiss, because it does not originate from complex logic, circumstantial inconvenience, or the emotional opinions of anyone else. It springs from the well of uncompromising, radical asterisk asterisk honesty asterisk asterisk, a raw, unfiltered, deeply internal reckoning. This sign usually surfaces in a planned moment of quiet reflection you didn't anticipate. You simply imagine the quiet act of letting go of this connection, not with public drama, not with angry texts, but quietly, internally, in the sacred space of your own mind. And instead of the expected rush of panic, something profoundly unexpected and startlingly simple occurs. Your chest cavity loosens, your breathing deepens and regulates, your anxious mind becomes noticeably quieter and more still. That immediate, powerful physical and spiritual reaction tells you more essential truth than 1,000 analytical conversations ever could. Experiencing a flood of relief asterisk asterisk before asterisk asterisk, the final, practical separation is not a weakness of resolve. It is a powerful, undeniable spiritual revelation. When the soul intuitively senses and recognizes a truth or an incoming alignment, it responds immediately before the complicated human mind has the time to rush in and interfere with doubt and reason. This is why this final sign is the most revealing of all. You haven't taken the concrete external action yet, but your deep spirit already possesses the profound understanding of what the ultimate act of obedience will feel like, and the feeling is distinctly and profoundly lighter. This feeling is not because the emotional loss will be easy, but because the debilitating spiritual resistance to God's will is finally, completely ending. Chosen individuals often carry emotional and spiritual weight they were never intended to carry for so long that the crippling heaviness begins to feel like a normal, expected state of existence. So, when the simple idea of release brings an immediate, undeniable rush of relief, it violently exposes just how much pressure, tension, and suffocation you have been silently and relentlessly enduring. This profound peace doesn't suddenly appear after everything has been neatly resolved and fixed. It arrives immediately in anticipation of the coming obedience. The very moment your soul agrees without reservation with God's instruction, the deep spiritual calm returns. That sudden calm is not an emotional denial of the relationship's value. It is definitively alignment settling in. Obedience always has a distinct sound. It sounds like a quiet, solid confidence replacing the debilitating internal noise and argument. It feels like a massive emotional space opening up precisely where chronic tension and constriction used to stubbornly live. This is God's method of confirming the correct direction without the need for verbal thunder or supernatural signs. And you must pay careful, discerning attention to this. God never removes anything from your life without a corresponding preparation already in motion. He never subtracts with the intention of leaving you in a vacuum. He never asks you to let go of something comfortable purely to leave you empty and isolated. When something makes its exit from your life under direct, divine instruction and mandate, it is only because that specific person or dynamic no longer possesses the necessary capacity or spiritual permission to fit into the magnificent life that is actively being formed next. Release is not a devastating loss when the divine hand is strategically involved. It is a necessary transition. It is a vital preparation. It is the precise positioning required for the next massive outpouring of grace. The profound relief you are experiencing is not primarily about making an escape. It is about signaling your readiness for the next phase. Your spirit is proactively, eagerly making the necessary room internally, even before your external circumstances begin the inevitable shift. And that, fundamentally, is the precise way that massive divine upgrades and elevations begin, first internally, in the secret place of the heart and spirit, and then, inexorably, externally in the tangible world. This is why any delay in your required obedience feels perceptibly heavier with each passing day. Once the path of alignment has been clearly revealed, resistance to that path becomes spiritually and emotionally exhausting. But when you finally surrender, even before the desired outcomes are fully visible to your natural eyes, an unshakable peace settles in the very core of your being. That peace is the most powerful preview you could ever receive. It is God granting you a taste of what life authentically feels like when you are no longer spiritually carrying what was never, ever meant to accompany you into your next, greater season. And here is the quiet, undeniable truth to carry with you. If the simple act of imagining the necessary release brings an immediate, powerful sense of relief, then the life that definitively comes after the act of obedience will be infinitely greater and more fulfilling than the comfortable, known thing you are afraid to leave behind. Because the very moment your chosen soul feels lighter, it means that the incredible new thing God is creating is already closer and more powerfully present than you could possibly conceive. This is the precise, pivotal moment when everything clicks into sharp focus, not just in the weary confines of your head, but in the depths of your illuminated spirit. You now possess an understanding that most people never achieve in a lifetime. God is not attempting to confuse you or make your path complex. He is powerfully, urgently clarifying your path. What you initially perceived as spiritual or emotional weakness was never weakness at all. It was the crucial awakening of your deepest discernment. What felt like an agonizing delay in your life was not a divine denial. It was necessary, careful preparation. and what felt on the surface like a painful, unnecessary loss was never truly a loss at all. It was the absolute, required spiritual precision. Scripture consistently illustrates this powerful pattern again and again. Abraham did not suddenly receive the magnificent expansion of the promised land while he desperately clung to the familiar, comfortable limitations of his past. The great expansion and the clear instruction came immediately after the mandated separation from Lot. The powerful moment he released the connection that could no longer walk with him into his destiny, God spoke again, delivering a vision that was wider, clearer, and exponentially bigger than any he had previously received. This is not a coincidence or a random story. This is a divine, unyielding law of breakthrough. The sudden, systematic loss of deep inner peace is never a random event. It is a powerful warning, meticulously designed to protect the integrity of your future. Distraction from your unique, ordained purpose is not a harmless detour. It is the activation of spiritual protection, moving you out of the way before irrevocable damage can occur. And persistent, inexplicable distance is not a sign of abandonment or unworthiness. It is a direct, divine redirection, powerfully moving you out of the path of what is spiritually incapable of following you to the incredible place you are destined to go next. Hear this final truth slowly, and let it settle in the core of your being. Sometimes the most magnificent blessing that God bestows upon your life is not a grand thing that He gives you outright. It is the powerful, loving protection He affords you from fiercely clinging to a person, dynamic, or resource that is actually blocking your access to the promised breakthrough. Because the very thing you cling to out of emotional fear or misplaced sentimentality can quietly, invisibly block the much greater thing that God is desperately trying to release into your life out of His profound love. Separation that is initiated under the specific, guiding hand of God is never, ever punishment. It is powerful, necessary alignment. It is refinement of your spirit. It is the direct voice of God speaking, saying, "You absolutely cannot carry this specific person or dynamic into the magnificent thing I have prepared next for you. You must trust His precise timing, even when the immediate feeling is profoundly uncomfortable. You must trust the necessary separation, even when the ending feels inexplicably incomplete or unresolved. You must trust, with every fiber of your being, that what is coming next requires the creation of space, undeniable clarity, and profound, courageous obedience. You were not chosen by God to remain spiritually stuck in a season of constantly explaining and defending why you stayed in a misaligned connection. You were chosen to move forward with brave, decisive obedience, even when that predetermined path urgently demands a painful release. If this particular message found its way to your screen and your spirit right now, it is because you are finally, truly ready to cease the exhausting work of forcing a dynamic that no longer possesses the necessary flow. Ready to stop emotionally defending a connection that no longer spiritually fits your dimensions. Ready at last to take the necessary leap into your next season, lighter, clearer, and utterly unafraid of what the future holds. Comment this simple phrase below as a profound declaration, not for my benefit, but as a deep binding agreement with your own spirit and with God. ***, I trust the separation. ***, let that be the final seal on your spiritual agreement. And always remember this core truth. What is leaving right now has made the required room. What is powerfully coming next will be the undeniable confirmation of your obedience. Stay obedient. Stay resolutely aligned.